All right, welcome in everybody. Hope everything is well with you. And I'm excited to get into the flexibility side of handstands. We worked a little bit on the tightness side, understanding that squeezing into midline is key. The flexibility side of handstands, which is interesting, is that the more mobility you have in your hips, the easier it is to get into a handstand and balance a handstand typically, or at least a couple of the variations of handstands. A straight handstand requires no flexibility of the hips once you're in it, but to get to that straight handstand requires some major flexibility regardless of the entry. So there's multiple types of entries to handstand. You have straddle, which is the wider your legs go, the easier it is to balance on the way up. Or if you're holding a straddle handstand, which we're going to work towards today, just at least kind of jump towards that position. If you're doing the L pose, where you have Hanumanasana legs, essentially split legs. If you don't have a lot of flexibility, it feels heavy to get up. And it's also, once you start getting up, it's fast to go overboard if your legs don't have the flexibility to counterbalance themselves. So the closer your legs are together, the more weight it will feel like. The further they can go apart, the lighter it will be. That same is true for straddle as well. The wider the legs can go, the lighter it will feel. So it's kind of like this weird thing where you can maybe have the strength, the upper body strength to do a handstand, but to get to it if you don't have the hip mobility, that could be a big struggle. The other one is tuck entry, which is that little tight ball shape that we've made for our crow pose, and we did it for half lolasana, bringing the thighs as tight to the chest. Requires quadricep flexibility, requires buttock flexibility, and low back flexibility as well. We're not going to do that one today, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. But the straddle and split, those two are where we're going. So we're going to work on in our hips, working on the movement towards Hanumanasana. We don't have to get the pose because that's extreme flexibility. But and then we'll also continue working on our wide straddle, which we've done a little bit of throughout the immersion. If you notice, I've been sprinkling that in. I want to say hello to Denitsa. Welcome in. Osa, Lisa. Good morning, good afternoon, and evening to those of you. And then Julie, welcome in as well. Good to have you here. Okay, so maybe just if I show you a quick demo on, let me just show you if I'm kicking up to, I don't have to do the whole thing here, but if I'm kicking up to handstand this way, if my flexibility, well, it's really mobility, right? Because it's active flexibility. It's the ability to lift this leg, which is strength of the buttocks and hamstrings. And it's the ability to keep this leg low, which is strength of the hip flexors. Okay, on the flexibility side, it's flexibility of the backs of this leg and flexibility of the front of this leg. Okay, so the further they go, the easier it is because it's very light. But if they're closer together, it's a big jump, and then once you jump, the legs being close together flies overboard really quick. So the deeper the splits, which again, it's going to have to be active flexibility, it's not just passive. You have to have the strength to keep the bottom leg low and the top leg high in order to not have this big weighted unit. The same is true here in our straddle handstand. The more the legs go in line with our arms and torso, the lighter it is. The more they're back like this, like a narrow V, the more weight is behind us. So if I can get my legs more in alignment with the hands, which I'm not. Okay, so the wider, and that's all outer hips, abductors. Okay, so let me think. We've pretty much, gone over these engagements in other classes. So that, looking back at the replay, not very wide on my straddle, which is why it looks kind of heavy. the wider I could go, the lighter it would be. I can tell. You know, I haven't worked on my straddles in a quite significant period of time because I've been playing a lot of hockey, and hockey strengthens the adductors quite a bit. It also strengthens the abductors, the pushing out muscles, but there's a lot more tension in the inner thighs than I normally would. So that straddle is going to be a fun little test for me to develop. And so let's get started. Yeah, I'll start at the top of the mat. Remove the old socks here. Tadasana. Inhale, reach the arms up. As you exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana. Half lift, inhale. And exhale, bow, lean forward towards the toes. Halfway lift again, inhale. Exhale, left foot goes back. Pull your feet toward each other, gather strength in the legs, and push down through your right heel so you feel your right buttocks and hamstrings engage. That push down and drag back, those muscles are required. Now let's get the hip flexors active. Press the ball mound of the back foot down and drag it forward so you feel the engagement right at the front of the hip. Now we're activating the muscles in the opposite way we would need for a handstand. Typically you would need the front of your hip flexors and the left buttocks, but just to get these muscles awake, press down through the heel and drag the back foot forward so you have a connection to these muscles. Let's step forward, halfway lift. Feel the difference in your right side from after doing that. Bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift again. Step your right foot back. Press your left heel down, drag it back till you feel your left buttocks and hamstrings engage. Press your right ball mound of your foot down like you're going to swing the leg forward. You're keeping the knee straight, but dragging it down and forward. Engaging the back of the left buttocks and hamstrings, and engaging the right, your back leg, the hip flexors. Take a full breath in and out. Step forward, half lift, and exhale, bow. To the sun, rise up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, reach up to the earth. Half lift. Left foot back. This time let's rise up, high lunge. Inhale. And exhale. Let's bring the hands by your sides for a moment or on your hips. Focus on the legs. Same action. We're going to warm up the hip flexors. In later poses, we're going to stretch the hip flexors and stretch the buttocks more, but right now, take a little longer stance, but then press the left foot down into the ground and drag it forward. Those are the words. And then your right heel, press it down and drag it back. So there's this activation in the opposite direction of the alignment. Now let's get our handstand arms going. Come to a cactus shape, so pull your shoulder blades a little toward each other. And then find hollow body by pulling the ribs back. Okay, with your flexed upper or middle back position, bring the arms up to the sky, elbows straight, shoulders up to the ears, and then a little look up, just a gentle. One more breath. As you exhale, hands to the ground. Straighten through the front leg, inhale. Exhale and bow. Let's continue, bend the knee, inhale. Straighten and bow as you exhale. This is the L shape for handstand that we'll kick up in, one of them. Exhale, straighten and bow. Inhale. Exhale. Now let's flex the front foot, inhale. And then point. You can lift the heel. Flex, inhale. Point.
heel up, flex, point, flex, point. Bend the right knee, heel down, step back down to up. Forward to plank pose, inhale. Review, arm balance prep position, lean forward, grip the ground, elbows point back, ribs in, and then back to down dog. Let's go right leg to the sky, pause, your three-legged dog. And then really reach through the arms. This is your L pose position for handstand. Now here we want to get the right inner thigh up to the sky as high as you can without bending the right knee, so keep it straight. And then get long in the upper arms. Right inner thigh up to the sky. Up, 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 up. Straight leg, kick through the right heel. And then right knee to chest, flex the spine. Again, right back up into that tall position. Reach up high, straight leg, knee to chest again. One more time. Up nice and high, inner thigh up, straighten the knee, and then step. Right back to high lunge, inhale. Ribs down, shoulders up. Open up warrior two. Now let's get into our straddle exploration. Pull your feet toward each other, warm up the muscles that we're going to be stretching, the inner thighs. And move the groins ever so slightly back. Let's pull our ribs back because we're going to work towards handstand. And then gaze in the same direction as your heart for handstand purposes. Reach the arms up. Exhale, back down. Flip the palms, reach the arms up, ribs down, shoulders up. Exhale, back down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, back down. Remember, as your arms go up, ribs go down. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle. Move the groins back. We're going to take our hand to the inside of the foot. Open up the chest and reach the left hand to the sky. And let's still work on engaging the inner thighs to warm them up before we start stretching them even more. So pull your feet toward each other. And for now, press your right knee into your arm to activate the right inner thigh muscles. Give it a little warmth, heating them up before we stretch them. Right, because we talked about yesterday, we worked on the abductors, the outer hip pressing the knee out. We'll do that in a second, but we want to get our muscles ready and awake first before we stretch them. Well, of course we are stretching them, but before we push them a little bit more. Take your left hand down. We're going to come into Prasarda Padottanasana preparation. Okay, I can already feel my right side feeling more flexible than the left. I want to activate the inner thighs again. We're starting with inner thigh engagement before we stretch. So pulling your feet toward each other and then bow. It's okay if you're not at your fullest right now because we want to actually reduce the stretch first by engaging the inner thighs. The more they heat up, the more they warm up, the more you activate them, the more they'll actually welcome the stretch rather than kind of like pushing them into it right away. Okay, walk back to the front of the mat. I'm going to step forward, halfway lift. Exhale and bow. Rise to the sun. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach up. Ribs down, shoulders up. Exhale, bow. Halfway lift. Right foot back. Okay, nice long stance. Pull your feet toward each other. Press through the left heel. Reach up, high lunge. And then hands to the hips or somewhere comfortable for a moment. We take a longer stance than normal in our lunge for today because we are aiming for flexibility. But we are going to develop the strength first, right? So once you get into your longer stance, now zip it all together. Pull your feet toward each other isometrically. Activate the muscles that are stretching, especially the back inner thigh there. Press down and drag forward. Now, pull the ribs back. If you do that, you'll feel a little more stretch in the back hip flexors, so keep them engaged. Pull your back foot forward isometrically, back knee straight. With that, ribs are down, arms go up. Handstand prep here, right, in the upper body. So you're not in this position, you're pulling your ribs back knees straight. Ribs are down, shoulders are up. And release, hands to the ground. Straighten through the left leg. And bow. Bend the knee, inhale. Exhale, straighten and bow. Bend the knee. Exhale, straighten and bow. Okay, let's go to the foot. Flex the ankle. Point the ankle. Flex. Point. Flex. Point. Flex. And bend the knee, step to down dog. Arm balance, prep position, lean forward, grip the fingers, elbows point back. Exhale, down dog. Push through the outer hands, get long in the shoulders. Take the left leg to the sky, inhale. Remember, we're gonna pause here, and we really wanna work the hamstrings and the buttocks of the left leg. So kick up to the sky from your inner heel. Try not to let the pelvis open so much, because if you kick up the handstand that way, you're always gonna be rotating your pelvis, always having to counterbalance and catch yourself from that rotation. So you wanna have the pelvis level here and lift from the inner left thigh. Go up high. Knee to chest, exhale. Right back into that place. Nice and tall. Use your left buttock muscles and hamstrings. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, again, nice, high and strong. Exhale, step. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Open up, warrior two. Okay, groins back just a bit here. Pull your feet isometrically toward each other. Turn your eyes the same direction as your chest. Keeping the engagement of the inner thighs. Ribs down, arms go up. Your upper body in handstand, your lower body in the direction of a straddle, right? That's the idea. Keep pulling your feet toward each other while the front ribs are down, the shoulders are up, especially the outer shoulders where your pinkies are, reach up there. Okay, reverse warrior. Side angle position. Left hand comes down to the inside. Groins go back. Again, we're starting with engagement of the inner thighs. So pull your feet toward each other and press your left knee into your left arm. Turn the chest, right hand to the sky. All right, let's walk it over. Now this time, we do Prasarita Padottanasana. Let's explore first for a moment, squeeze your legs in, find your adductors, your inner thighs, but lift your bum up to the sky more. So you feel lengthening of the hamstrings. As the sit bones go up to the sky, your hamstrings will get longer, but still engage the inner thighs for now. Okay, so we're trying to do anterior tilt to the pelvis. Buttocks goes up, but still engaging the inner thighs as you bow. So there's some resistance from the inner thighs whilst increasing the flexibility of the pelvis. Okay, squeezing the legs in. We're going to take this one step further now. Turn your toes out, go to Skandasana, And in your Skandasana, don't go to your depth, okay? Go a little bit above that. Press your left heel down, activate your inner thighs and your hamstrings. But now let's start to work the right leg into abduction. So the bent knee, press your right knee out to the right. Okay, that will increase the stretch of the inner thighs. It'll activate the right outer hips. We need those muscles today. But still stay connected to the engagement of your left inner thigh. So press your left heel down into the ground and drag it almost towards you, while your right knee presses out to the right. Okay, let's switch sides, Skandasana to the left. Again, first setting up the contraction inward. You press your right heel down and drag it in, so it should feel like less of a stretch. You're engaged, you're more connected. But then in your left leg, once you have that connection in your right, press your left knee out to the side without losing the contraction of the right. And I'm working pretty hard on my right leg so that I don't feel like any strain. I want to make sure it feels strong. It feels like it's integrated, not being pulled apart. If you have to lift your hips up higher, do that. But your left knee presses out while the right leg pulls in. Okay, coming back to center. For Sarda Padottanasana, this time you're going to press your heels out, find your outer hip muscles, and you can take a little wider of a stance. So aiming for that flexibility now, starting to push outward in the legs will tip the pelvis forward more. All right. Coming back to the front, step to downward facing dog. Inhale forward to plank, chaturanga prep, back to down dog. Now walk forward. We're going to do handstand prep position. If you remember that, your fingers grip the ground. It's like Uttanasana, but your heels are up and you lean forward. Okay, take your left leg up. And then switch. Take your right leg up. Inner thigh lifts high. Switch. Left leg up. Inner thigh lifts high. Use your buttocks. Use your hamstrings. Keep strong in the hands. Switch. Right leg up. Strong in the arms. One more left leg up. One more right side. And release. Interlace the hands. Stretch the shoulders. All right, so now grab your blocks, place them under your hands. We're going to do a little bit of hip flexor strengthening. So first start with your bum up to the sky, stick your buttocks up. So you have more anterior tilt to the pelvis. And then what you'll need to cultivate for your handstands is the bottom leg hip flexors are strong against the tension of your buttocks and hamstrings. So can you stick your bum up to the sky, keep that. And then tap your left foot to the block. Now when you do this, if your tail tucks, make sure you stick your bum up and use your hip flexors. If this is easy, you can go past or through the blocks, okay? 5 times is good. After that, we're gonna go to the other side. Stick your bum up and you do the right leg. Tap, 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 or through, and you're trying to keep your bum up while you do that. Okay, accesses the hip flexors, halfway lift, and bow. Come back to the halfway lift. We're going to come into Warrior 3 preparation. Okay, left leg goes back behind you. Let's start with a bent knee, and bring your knee up as high as you can while it's bent. Now, instead of kicking straight back, think kick up. Use your heel, kick through your heel. Okay, now your right buttocks, press your right sit bone down a little bit so you don't strain the hamstrings, but lift the left leg up higher from the inner thigh. Try to get that nice split leg position. And then release. Now I noticed I was cheating a little bit by allowing my back to be more of a back bend in the low back. Just acknowledge that's going to naturally happen. The higher you lift that leg, the more your pelvis wants to tip. Now that's okay, but we don't want low back to be in a back bend. That would result in a heavy handstand that would fall backwards fast. Okay, so right heel to bum. Lift the right knee up as high as you can. Keeping it, kick the right heel back and up, back and up. Don't open the pelvis. Keep the pelvis level and stretch back through the right heel. So you're using your right hamstrings against the tension of the left hamstrings. And right now we have the beauty of having the left foot on the floor. When you're in a handstand, you got to work your left hip flexors too. You got to pull your left foot, in this case, towards the blocks. Back right leg straight. And release. Whew. If you do that well, it's a lot of work. Take an inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, bow forward. Let me just inhale, halfway lift again. Turning the heat down over here. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And let's put the blocks aside, bow forward. Let's come to Bakasana crow pose. Knees outside the arms. Using this now more as a warm-up. Flex your spine. Squeeze your knees in. Lift your bum up. Lean towards your fingers. Grip, hold here. For some of you, you can find the balance by squeezing the legs in. Okay, if your feet are off the ground, place them back on the ground. Interlace the hands. Bow. Hands to the hips, arch the back, rise up. Coming to wide-legged position, face sideways on your mat. Turn your toes out. First round, you're going to place your hands on your inner knees and activate the inner thighs by pressing the knees into the hands towards the midline. You can also pull your feet toward each other. Okay, getting the inner thighs active. Now, take your hands off of your knees, place the fingers to the ground, and press your knees wide, getting the outer hips, abductors active. So I'm sitting as low as I can, about the height of my knees. It's not as low as I can, I should say. It's as low as I can without kind of sinking. So I'm still activating my knees pressing out. So you're not trying to be passive, trying to stay active. In fact, you should be able to lift your hands up and not sink. Okay, that's how you know you're active. If you're sinking, obviously gravity's winning. Knees are pressing out. Okay, let's go. Toes turn in now. Press the backs of the legs apart, stick your bum up and bow. If you feel any strain near the sit bones, the buttock bones, pull your feet toward each other and tuck the tail to resist that strain from happening. Otherwise, you can press your heels out and stick your bum up so long as the stretch is happening more at the middle of the hamstrings, the middle of the inner thighs. All right, come to a halfway lift. Turn your toes out, Skandasana to the left. Press your left knee to the left. Transition, try to stay low. Skandasana to the right. Press your right knee to the right using your outer hips. Try to stay low. Transition, left knee presses wide. Right knee presses wide. Left knee presses wide as you transition nice and low. Right knee presses wide as you transition nice and low. Press wide. Okay, come back to center. Turn the toes in. Press the backs of the heels apart and bow. Okay, Straddle jumping jacks. If you've done my handstand trainings, you've done these before. But essentially, your hands come to the ground. You take a handstand prep position, but with your feet wide, lifting the heels, ears in line with the biceps. You lean into your fingers, and then you hop your feet together. That's step one. Do that once, and then watch me afterwards. So lean into your fingers, jump, and squeeze your feet together. Now, on the way out, we do this, the opposite. We lean, we grip, we push, we jump, feet as wide as we can, and then land. And when I say as wide as you can, you're using your abductors, your outer hips, to shoot the legs apart and land in your Prasarita Padottanasana. And then you do it again. You lift your heels, lean forward, grip, push through the arms, hop in. And then again, lean forward, grip, push, out. Lean forward, grip, push, in. Lean forward, grip, out. Okay, the more you lean forward, grip, and push with your shoulders, the easier this whole thing will be. And then you're adding on the push out with the legs to make it light. The wider your legs go, the lighter it is. Okay? Give you just another moment. Explore that. Okay, now let's come to the ground for just a moment. Back to the straddle position from yesterday, or yeah, it was yesterday actually. Start with engaging in, so squeeze your legs toward each other, activate the line of the inner legs, and even press the heels down. So down and in. See, see the mat is kind of bunching up over here because I'm dragging the mat in. I want to engage the inner thigh muscles and engage the hamstrings. Keeping that engagement, tip forward, but now the weight of your body is challenging. So you're going to press the heels down and drag in against that weight of the torso. You're tipping your torso forward, more or less flat back for now. Press the legs down and squeeze in. Tipping your pelvis forward a little bit more, squeezing in, activating these muscles. Tipping forward a little bit more, squeezing in, pressing down, activating these muscles. Then take the hands out in front. Squeezing in still, activating the inner thighs, resisting the flexibility. And then coming on up.
Okay. So now the opposite. We're going to press out. So I suggest, if you're pressing out and you're set up already at your maximum end range and you press out, you're going to just, it's asking to get hurt. So you take less of a straddle than you were just in. And then as you tip forward, you're going to start pushing the legs out isometrically using your outer hip muscles. For me, that feels really good because I didn't start at my end range. I started less, right? I started with less of a straddle and I'm engaging into the straddle. So pressing the legs apart here as you tip forward, pressing down and out now. Okay, coming on up now. We did a little hip flexor drill earlier. We're gonna do one more now, which is way more challenging and way more annoying. Put the block, or 2 blocks if you got them. You're gonna have to lean back, but the least amount of lean back possible. This is for the hip flexors. Lift the right leg up and over, up and over. This is to be able to keep the thighs tight to your chest. Look how hard that is. Look at the distance between my thigh and my chest right now. And this is how hard it is to engage the hip flexors. Okay? Now, of course, to go to the other side. The benefit of being in a handstand is you have gravity on your side versus this. You have gravity against you. So you can use this as a drill to get stronger. And go back to the right. So that when you have gravity on your side, it's easy to keep the thighs tight to the chest. Back to the left.
Okay, and then we bow forward again, obviously not at end range, but pressing out through the legs as you bow. Now I've increased the flexibility of this posture by activating the hip flexors. That's called reciprocal inhibition. Engaging the hip flexors tells the hamstrings that they can relax more. But I'm still using my abductors, my outer hips here. Now let's zip it back together. Press down and in, activating the inner thighs, and see if you can bow forward more while squeezing the inner legs towards each other. Again, you're trying to resist the flexibility now. And then rise all the way up. Ooh. Doing good, doing good. Take your blocks, either side of the mat, and we're going to step our left foot forward, right knee is down. Those of you who've done handstands with me, this is something we do a lot, but this is challenging for the hip flexors. Same idea, you're just going to press down through your hands, flex the spine, and lift your left leg and lower it. Lift and lower. Now this is for the scissor entry. When your legs are front to back, you still need hip flexor strength. Okay, let's switch. Lift and lower about 5 times here. Switch again. Now, we're going to use that lift and increase the flexibility. So, try this. You lift, lean forward. Now, lift the back knee, reach back. Place the knee down again. Now, try, can you lift and go forward a little bit? Lift the back knee, reach back. So now we're moving towards Hanumanasana. So we don't have to go into the full thing, just moving in that direction. Now I'm at a decent range here where I feel stretched, but I'm not struggling. So at this point, I'm going to zip the legs together and warm the legs in this position, in this alignment. Get the muscles to activate. Okay, let's switch sides. Zip it together to come out. We start small. Okay. Lift. Go slow forward. Lift the back knee, reach back. Lift the right leg. Slow forward. Press the back heel back. Boom. Now, at a decent range here where I feel the stretch, but it's nothing too intense. I can talk, I can breathe. Then I'll zip it all together. Pulling the right heel down and back, left knee forward. Okay, zip it together to come on out. Boom. Sit up onto your heels for just a moment. Let your hips have a break. All right, so kick switches where we skim the legs. So anything I need to add from the other day? Lean, grip, push. The major difference today is we're focusing on the distance between your two legs, but the challenge here is the top pelvis will always want to open, and we're trying to keep it level, not for aesthetic purposes, but so that we don't, and when we open up the pelvis, it throws the back leg back artificially by twisting the spine. When you twist the spine, then you have to counteract it to bring it back to center if you wanted to balance a handstand. So best not to go that direction, or let's say it's easier not to go in that direction. It seems like it would be easier to do at first, but the greater the split position, the easier it is. I'm gonna actually add one more drill before we get this. I think that will be super helpful for our kick switches. Let's go to a wall. We'll place the hands on blocks at the wall and do warrior 3 at the wall.
Turn this a little bit to the wall.
All right, so blocks out in front, right leg on the wall. And the great thing, we gotta, find your distancing as I am. The great thing about this is you really can feel the kick back through the right heel with pelvis squared. So I'm gonna kick the heel into the wall. So I start with the toes here, right? And then I reach through the heel and I can feel my quads activated, my buttocks activates. And the bottom leg, if your blocks are balanced, you can actually lift the bottom leg up and pull it forward. If that feels like your blocks are unstable, don't do that, okay? Because you don't want to fall side to side. But, for me, it feels pretty good to work the left hip flexors in this position by bringing this leg forward through the blocks. Okay. We're going to switch sides. On solid ground here, so I'm not on that mat. Left leg goes back. Again, I'm going to reach through the heel. Feels significantly different. Okay, here we go. Pelvis is closed. Activating the left quads by reaching through the heel. And then to really simulate, you could potentially round the spine and pull the right leg through, but keeping the left leg straight. Good work. Now, while you're at the wall, you might as well use it behind you to keep you safe from falling over. But the objective is not to balance a handstand right now. It's just to do the kick switches where the bottom leg stays low and the top leg reaches high. Essentially what you just did, but with the relationship to gravity is a little bit different. So the deeper the split, or the Hanumanasana splits, the lighter this will be. We've done the best we can for today. Over time, you gotta, work through it. As much as I can go here. And then hop, switch. Hop, switch. Hop, switch.
And it's not all legs. It's a lot of upper body pushing, gripping, ribs are rolling. The first round was terrible as I'm watching the replay. Then it got better and better. Okay, you can see the kick switch. Kick switch. That's round one. Kick switches tend to be easier than this next thing, which is L hops. Kick switches give you a feeling of lightness if you do them well, whereas L hops will feel heavy until you get really strong in the upper body and flexible in the hips. So what that looks like, L hops.
You get into your handstand prep position again. Fingers grip, straight elbows, lean grip, push, leg high, and you hop and you keep one leg low. And I like to flex the legs, and I feel like as if I'm pushing onto the wall with one leg and the other leg on that kind of flexed leg down towards the ground through the blocks. That's where I first learned balance, was the reaching of the legs apart when kicking up. Let's see, that was my right leg high, left leg low. So I'm just gonna do the other side for evenness if you wanna watch one more time before you try. You probably won't find balance, but at least you can try to get this up nice and high. And this bottom leg is pulling, the bottom leg is pulling me down, top leg is pulling me up. It would seem that it would be easier if you didn't lower the bottom leg. So what most people do, it's counterintuitive. You would think, if I don't pull the bottom leg down, I'm likely to go up higher. It's not true, because pulling the bottom leg down is what's keeping you light. It keeps your thigh tight to your chest, and tight to your chest is light. If you don't pull the bottom leg down,
it actually goes away. It has to go away from your chest, which means away from the center of gravity, away from the handstand line, and it pulls you back to your feet. It's so counterintuitive. So you have to pull the bottom leg down to keep your weight centered over your hands. If you don't, the weight goes back from where you started and it keeps gonna land heavy. So you gotta bring the bottom leg tight to your chest as the top leg kicks high. That's the Hanumanasana split entry that's helpful there. I'll give you another moment to explore that. Tell me if you have any questions. L pose position. You don't have to balance it, by the way. We're going to balance in a moment using a chair, but right now you're just trying to, you kick L, try to hold for a split second if you can, and apply the actions. Utilizing the hip flexors of the bottom leg, utilizing the buttocks and hamstrings of the top leg. Okay, now we're gonna go back to handstand, straddle handstand. So same idea, you gotta keep your thighs tight to your chest while at the same time wide as can be. That's confusing. Tight to your chest meaning hip flexors. Okay, so thighs compact as close to your torso line. In a straddle handstand, it's the line, if my hands are here, it's the line between here, it's that we're trying to find, which is not the same as a midline line. The thighs try to stay as tight to the hip as possible. What most people tend to do is they tend to let the legs go up, but when the legs go up too quickly, you don't get the balance, and it's the same thing, your legs will fall down very fast and heavy because they're going away from this line. You gotta find this line with your legs. So one thing is, I think about is when I'm straddling, I'm trying to get the legs out wide and on that line of my hands. So like as much like this as possible. It's hard to do it when your feet are on the ground, but I'm gonna shoot my legs wide. Watch that, as wide as I can. Lean, grip, push. And my hip flexors are still active. So my thighs are tight to my chest and I'm going wide, 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 wide. Okay, so I feel it here and here, but a lot here actually. It's a lot more hip flexors than we probably think, which is, again, another counterintuitive thing. I'm keeping the legs wide, but the hips flexed. I feel like after last arm balance practices, I feel it feels so much easier today. Oh, good. Glad to hear that. So just try shooting and by the way, usually you're flexible in one direction or the other. Like growing up, I could always do center splits, straddles pretty easily, but Hanumanasanas, like the front to back splits, was just so difficult. Because of what I'm doing today with a lot of my hockey work, ice skating a lot, my inner thighs tend to be tighter than they normally would be. And so my front to back is more flexible. I don't run, so I don't have that tightness, the front to back. I just have the inner out tightness right now. So there tends to be a natural way that's easier for you, either the split legs or the straddle legs. But of course, it depends on what you do. So while it comes easier to my body to straddle, what I'm doing these days is creating a tension in that place. So it's a lot easier now to do the L shape. So just acknowledge what it is for you, so you can, what's the point here? The point is like, work on both, what comes easy to you and what challenges you, 100%. But know the difference so that you might spend a little extra time on what challenges you. But if you're just looking to boost your self-confidence, you might do the thing that makes it easier for you. Okay, so now a little bit of working with balance. So you would want to grab a chair. Again, as
Yet again, I do have a chair in this room, but it's being utilized from Rebecca that I don't want to mess her setup here. So what I'm going to do instead of a chair is the speaker again, I think. Do we have another chair? No. Okay. I'll use the speaker again. It goes with my Matthew Dillon music brand. I'll face the pumping speaker to you, I guess. Get that look. So the balance exploration happens you could do it on 2 chairs for straddle, but you'd have to have like 2 stools to get your legs high enough for it to find some sort of balance. But the higher the chair, the easier it is to find balance in your L pose handstand. Now you don't have to balance the pose, but you're moving in the direction of, just like placing your feet on a block in crow pose or something like that, you're moving in the direction of being closer to the balance point, so it's easier. But the hard part is the higher the chair up, the harder it is to kind of climb in. So you get 1 foot on the chair and you press down, so use your hip flexors there as the other leg goes up. And I want to split kick this heel to the sky, and all you do to find balance is you lean. You see I point my right foot here and I lean closer to the wall. Legs are split like crazy. Okay, so I don't kick off of this speaker, I just lean away from it. Did you hear that? I don't kick off of the speaker, I lean away from it. If you feel like you have to kick off the speaker, you're not going to magically find balance. The reason you feel like you have to kick is because you're not in the right position. You haven't leaned enough. And the kick is only going to add momentum that's going to throw you to the wall. I didn't touch the wall at all with that top foot. I know you can't really see it in the camera, but the foot was never on the wall. I was just leaning towards the wall, more so with my shoulders. There is a little bit of, the leg being further back makes it easier. So the greater the splits, the more it is a counterbalance. And that's okay if the top leg is further back. I'm not right up against the wall, I'm pretty far away, so that I do have the ability to have the leg further back without without leaning into the wall. I already forgot which leg was up there. Let me see. Okay, you guys keep going. I'm gonna review my leg that was at the wall. So my right leg was down, left leg was up. Okay. Right leg down, left leg up. So I gotta do left leg down now. All right, left leg down. You can climb both feet up, by the way. Lean into your fingers, grip the ground. Lean, grip, push with your shoulders. If your body is a sponge, if your elbows are bending, your shoulders are relaxing, then no amount of leaning or no amount of splits is going to save you. You got to be stubborn with your upper body, grip the fingers, elbows straight, shoulders pressed towards the ears, and then you're rolling your rib cage and stretching the legs wide or long. Give you just another moment to explore. I thought I only turned off the heat of one. I was like, I thought I turned off the heat in here. All right, so. To stretch your traps, by the way, usually I do this, I put my hands between my thighs, and then I press out as the shoulders go down, and that stretches. I don't even have to usually press down, but it's kind of like you turn the arms out as you press out, and that pulls the shoulders down.
Thanks, Tanita. Okay, so that's your Hanumanasana or split leg, I should say L pose handstands, and then of course the straddle handstands. Let's, I think, what's the question here? My practice challenge is still to keep hands gripping on the floor and leaning forward. Heck yes. I mean, that's everybody's practice challenge. When you add other things on it, the challenge is to maintain the previous ones. It doesn't matter how professional or proficient or masterful you are. It's like you're always going to be working on that. That's part of the equation, you know. It's like any masterful chefs are great. They still have to like keep focused on their timing of order of events, making sure this is done by this time, at this heat, whatever. You know, it's like that's the. It looks effortless from the outside, perhaps, that I'm focused and I'm not having to focus on my hands and my shoulders, but I'm still always reminding myself there's a level of attention that's going towards that.
All right, so now we're pretty open in our hips today, so we're gonna go lizard pose, and we'll start with the external rotation. This will get a little different stretch, more the muscles from the straddle, the pushing out. We can get a little stretch of those muscles and bring the elbows down. And I'm just widening my right knee to the right. And it's really fascinating. I noticed a lot when you work straddle positions that postures like this, even though you didn't directly stretch these muscles the whole time, you actually strengthened them the majority of the time. You get a little deeper into them just because you worked on the straddle position. And of course, we also worked on our hamstrings and hip flexor flexibility, so pretty well primed for this. Okay, let's switch sides. In our lizard, your left foot turns out. And take the right leg into pigeon pose. And we'll take a twist. Get back a little bit. So when you twist, lean to your left. Your right hand keeps you propped up. Lean your torso to your left for the twist. And then with your back toes tucked, you can rotate the back pelvis down a little bit, giving you a deeper hip opener. And I'm reaching back through the back heel, so it's a little bit more of a stretch. Coming on up, switch. And again, when you twist here, your left hand holds you there, pushes you away so you can lean to your right. And I tuck the back toes to help spin the back pelvis down, leaning away from the left knee. Alternatively, if your left knee feels any strain, you push the knee down and out instead of the hand on the ground. You push down from your inner thigh out, and that should release any sort of compression or strain in the knee, or as I say should, maybe will for most of you. Just depends on your body and what's going on there. All right, coming on out, one more hip opener for us today. Back to Baddha Konasana. I'm gonna go feet in tight today, a little different, and press the knees down and out. Okay, a little more like a straddle, opening the soles of the feet and pressing the outer heels and outer edges of the feet into each other. Coming on up. Now that combination of postures we've done is really well set up for, kind of where we're going in this immersion. I'm not going to have you do it, but half lotus is pretty much on the horizon there from having done everything we did today with all these straddles and hamstring stretches and so on and so forth. So just, you notice slipping in fairly easy to that half lotus. Just from that sequencing, just for reference. All right, we have that on our horizon. Let's come into a Shavasana. Full breath in and out. Let's enjoy a full breath in and out. Awaken the fingers and the toes. Stretch the arms. Roll to your side. Come up to a seated position. And place the hands at heart center. Momentary bow of recognition and gratitude for this body that we are living in. Thank you all so much for your practice today, tuning into this community and getting into your body and sharing some handstands and connecting with your hips as well. Hope you enjoyed the experience. And it's crazy. This is practice number 6, so we only have, what, 4 more? 7, 8, 9, 10? 4 more left. And they're elevating in a challenge as we go along here. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I feel like the hips are starting to, slowly we're moving in the direction, and each day adding in a little bit of the pelvic mobility and adding in more of that upper body strength that we need. So I think we're on our way, folks. Looking forward to the next one. Glad you liked it, Osa. Thank you so much. See you all on Tuesday for those of you that are practicing live. Right? We have one, Tuesday. All right, take care.